Howdy, Mrs. Cordy's class. Mr. Marks here again. We're going to do another science activity this week and learn some things about different kinds of animals. Last week it was about bugs and insects, and are they different? You found out some things about insects and made some outstanding butterflies. Love those pictures. We're going to talk about an animal or a kind of animals this week that have something in common with butterflies. I'm wondering if you think back to what we said about a butterfly's wings, what are they covered in? That's right, Theo, they're covered in scales. Can you think of another animal that is covered in scales? If you look at my shirt, that might be a hint. Yep, you're right. I thought it was Aya, but everybody calls you Yaya, I'm told. You are right. Today we're going to find out some things about fish. And fish are something that I like a lot. At my house, we have a lot of things with fish on them. I have magazines about steelhead trout and brown trout. I've got books, lots of books, picture books about fish. I've got non-fiction books about fish. I've got towels that have fish. We've got sculptures. I've got pictures of fish. I really, really like fish. In fact, they're about my favorite animal. This is a brown trout, which is a fish that is not native to Michigan, but a fish that you can find throughout Michigan. Much like insects, fish have 3 body parts. You can't always tell them apart. A fish has a head, a fish has a body, and a fish has a tail. But that tail is actually a fin. And fish have a lot of fins. They have dorsal fins, which are on the top. And usually there are 2 of them. They have pectoral fins that help them go through the water also. And they usually have a little fin just on the side of their face, behind the eyes, and behind what is called the gills. Now, what's inside a fish is one of the things that's most exciting to know about them. It's what makes them different than insects. See, inside a fish, there is a skeleton. There's a spine. That red pipe cleaner is like the spine, much like your own spine. There are these skinny little bones, and most fish have bones, whether they are freshwater fish or whether they are saltwater fish, they will have bones. That's one of the hard parts when you eat fish. You have to take out the bones because they're very small and they hide when you're eating them. Now that purple and pink thing that you see there is actually how the fish breathes. Those are called gills. Some people call them gill plates, but those are inside the fish and they are called gills, and they're a bit like our lungs. And in a moment, I'm going to show you how they work. Because fish, just like us, breathe oxygen and need oxygen to live. Now, do you see that little round thing up there? That's the fish's brain. Fish don't have very big brains. They don't need them much because all they do is look around for food. Now, as you know, fish live in the water, and how they breathe is different from us. We breathe our air, it goes into our lungs, and our lungs separate the oxygen and take it to our blood, which is then taken through the body. Now, fish need oxygen too, and luckily water has oxygen in it. So a fish will take in the water, just like this little thing that I have right here, will take in some water and then spray it out over the top of their gills. And as you see, as that water is coming out, there are little bubbles there. And those bubbles are the bubbles of oxygen that the fish can use. So now, for a quick review, on the outside of the fish, there are eyes. You can see the mouth, the three body parts, the head, the body, and the tail. There are the fins. There's the eye. There is that gill plate that opens when the water is pushed over top of the gills. On the inside, you see teeth, you see the gills, you see the spine and the brain, and all the bones, which makes this animal a type of vertebrate. Now, you may ask what it is that fish, well, especially trout, like to eat. 80% of a trout's diet are bugs. This is a mayfly. As you can see, you can count the 6 legs. You can see the 2 sets of wings, the 3 body parts. And the one thing that you don't generally see on the outside of fish, but you can see on this particular fish called a cutthroat, are the orange gill plates on the outside and the bright red right under its mouth. These particular fish are some of my favorite to hunt for. And the nice thing about hunting for fish is when I catch them, I can throw them back. In a moment, I am going to read my favorite fish story called McGilligan's Pool. I hope you enjoy it. Now, if you would like to put together a fish using toothpicks, using pipe cleaners, using paper and markers, do that. I thought that I'd give you a quick view of what I tried at first to do to make it look like what the inside of a skeleton might look like of a fish. And I can sort of get it to stand up. I used pipe cleaners, and you'll notice that the bones are in the shape of a V. And almost all fish have a skeleton where the bones, when you take it out, have a V shape. And they're very flexible, like a pipe cleaner, so that they can move through the water. Now, the one thing that I didn't share with you that kind of goes to what I said is the same about butterflies and fish is that fish have a skin that is covered in scales. And those scales can be big, they can be small, but they all are kind of shaped just like this. And what they do is they protect the skin of a fish from diseases and parasites and other things. And fish also have sort of a slime on them that helps them be slippery in the water. So now you know about fish, vertebrates, skeletons inside, scales on the outside, fins, 3 body parts, a head, a body, and a tail, fins to help them swim, a skeleton to give them a shape, gills so that they can get oxygen out of the water and put it into their blood so that they can live, and then teeth to eat. So now, ladies and gentlemen, the story McElligot's Pool by Dr. Seuss. Young man, ha ha ha, laughed the farmer. I think you're sort of a fool. You'll never catch fish in McElligot's pool. Yeah, that pool is too small, and you might as well know it. When people have junk, that's the place that they throw it. You might catch a boot, you might catch a can, you might catch a bottle, but listen to me, young man, if you sat 50 years with your worms and your wishes, you'd grow a long beard before you caught fishes. Answered Marco. It may be you're right. I've been here for 3 hours without one single bite. There might be no fish, but again, there just might. 'Cause you never can tell what goes on down below. This pool might be bigger than you or I know. It might be like a pool I've read of in books, connected to one of those underground brooks. An underground river that starts here and flows right under the pasture. And then, well, who knows? It might go along down where no one can see, right under State Highway 203, right under the wagons, right under the toes of Mrs. Umbruzzo, who's hanging out her clothes. It might keep on flowing, perhaps, who can tell, right under the people in Sneeden's Hotel, right under the grass where they're playing croquet, then under those mountains, then far, far away. This might be a river, now mightn't it be, connecting McElligot's pool to the sea? And then maybe some fish might be swimming toward me. If such a thing could be, they certainly would be. Some very smart fellow might point out the way to the place where I'm fishing, and that's why I say, if I wait long enough, if I'm patient and cool, who knows what I could catch in McElligot's pool. I might catch a thin fish, I might catch a stout fish, I might catch a short or a long, long drawn out fish. Any kind, any shape, any color, any size. I might catch some fish that would open your eyes. I wouldn't be surprised if a dogfish appears, complete with a collar and long floppy ears, woof woofing along, and perhaps he might chase a whole lot of catfish right straight to this place. I might catch a fish with a pinwheel-like tail, or I might catch a fish who has fins like a sail. I might catch some young fish, some high-jumping friskers, or I might catch an old one like Mr. Marks with long flowing whiskers. I might catch a fish with a long curly nose, or I might catch a fish like a rooster that crows. Maybe a fish with a checkerboard belly, or even a fish made of strawberry jelly. I might catch a seahorse. Now, mightn't I now? I could catch a fish who is partly a cow. Some fish from the tropics, all sunburned and hot, might decide to swim up. Well, they might they not? Racing up north for a chance to get cool. Full steam ahead for McElligot's pool. I might catch an eel, well I might, it depends. A long twisting eel with a lot of strange bends. And oddly enough, this kind of fish has a head at both ends. Now, one doesn't catch this kind of fish as a rule, but the chances are great here in McElligot's pool. Now, I might catch a fish who's a terrible grouch, or an Australian fish with a kangaroo-like like pouch. Who wants to catch small ones like mackerel or trout? Maybe I'll catch a sawfish with such a long snout that he needs an assistant to help him about. If I wait long enough, if I'm patient and cool, who knows what I'll catch in McGilligut's pool. Some rough-necked old lobster all gristle and muscle might grab at my bait, then would I have a tussle. To land one so tough might take 2 or 3 hours, but the next one might be easy. The one that looks like a flower. I might catch some sort of a fast-moving bloke who zips through the waves with an overarm stroke. I might and I may, and that's really no joke. A fish, even faster, a fish if you please, who slides down the sides of strange islands on skis. He might ski on over to pay me a visit. That's not impossible, really. Now is it? Some circus fish, yes, fish fresh from an acrobat school, might stage a big show here in McGilligut's pool. Or I might catch a fish from a stranger place yet, from the world's highest river in far off Tibet, where the falls are so steep that it's dangerous to ride 'em. The fish put up parachutes and float down beside 'em. From the world's deepest ocean, from way down below, from down in the mud where the deep divers go, from down in the mire and the muck and the murk, I might catch some fish who are all going glurk, glurk, glurk. Whales! I'll catch whales, yes, a whole herd of whales, all spouting their spouts and thrashing their tails. I'll catch 50 whales! Then I'll stop for the day, 'cause there's nothing that's bigger than whales, so they say. Still, of course, it might be that there is something bigger. Some sort of a kind of a thingamajigger. A fish that's so big, if you know what I mean. He makes that whale look like a tiny sardine. You see, the sea is so full of a number of fish, if a fellow is patient, he might get his wish. And that's why I think that I'm not such a fool to sit here and fish in McGilligut's pool. The end. Thanks for taking time with me today. We'll read probably another book later in the week, and we'll review some of those things that we talked about today about fish. I hope that someday you grow up to like fish as much as I like fish, and I think Harper likes fish too. Take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.